Hello and welcome back to the Premier Injuries channel. Today we are doing one of our breaking news injury updates in terms of a Premier League player. Today we've got another update on Patrick Bamford. We did a video last week describing his situation and there has been an update with that. Ben, what's the latest on his situation?
Yeah, so we've had the Leeds United press conference on Thursday afternoon. Marcelo Bielsa provided a mixed injury update. He said that Diego Llorente would be back in the squad. Pascal Struijk is returning after his suspension. And great news for Rafinha owners. He's been cleared and he is available for selection. However, the big news, and there's two real key updates here. One, Patrick Bamford. Now, it looks as if he's going to be another couple of weeks, but Bielsa said that was going to be around about a month from when that injury occurred to when he returned to play. Now, he said that injury wasn't straightforward and easy to resolve. A couple of things here. We discussed mechanism of injury. We discussed his post-match public appearances and how everything looked to be fine. Now, it could have been that injury was still evolving, and therefore at the time, which Leeds seemed to suggest, they didn't think it was serious, but it's turned out to be a little bit more severe than they first thought. Or secondly, it's something that could have been aggravated on the training pitches. So maybe he's moving away from that simple ankle sprain to maybe more around a high ankle sprain, potentially what we've seen with Reece James in that syndesmosis area, which inherently tends to double the return to play timeline.
And so with the Fantasy Premier League, a lot of people are thinking, should they get him out then? Because it is the international break. That might give him a bit of time to come back. Or do you think it is, regardless of opinion on the quality of player, in terms of your team, is it worth having him in over the long haul?
I mean, if you can afford to hold on to Patrick and the hope that he will just miss one more game and you want to remain in your squad, then, I don't see any sort of reasoning or rationale to push him out. He wouldn't be my pick. I think there are better options elsewhere. And I think he could maybe capitalise this weekend. Of course, there are absolutely no guarantees. So we'd have to make a decision closer to game week 8 with regards to, whether Patrick Bamford will be available. So that's a decision that only you can make, really.
And this is something that we've said all along, especially with the international break coming up. Don't be too reckless with transfers because there's a period there where we go into unknowns and players might be coming back with COVID or COVID restrictions and possibly injuries as well. So my advice with that is try and keep as many transfers as possible, maybe keep 2, just so that you've got a little bit of leeway, because we saw what happened in the last international break and there could be a lot of complications again. In terms of the international break though, let's move it on to the England squad. And Reece James has been named. Yesterday we did a podcast with Raj. You explained how Tuchel might be giving differing information to what has been produced from the medical staff. So can you explain why he has been included in that?
Right, so first and foremost, if you haven't seen last night's podcast, players will be called up regardless by their respective associations and federations. They have an obligation to release players to be assessed independently. Gareth Southgate does have good open lines of communication with managers within the Premier League. So I think, first and foremost, this is a good sign. The expectation is that maybe the injury is not as severe as first thought. And even Gareth Southgate suggested that maybe Reece James and Mason Mount could be included in the Chelsea squad this weekend. And that's why they've been named in the Three Lions provisional side. So we will wait and see on that one. Mason Mount doesn't come as a big surprise. Thomas Tuchel said that was just a couple of days. Whereas the Reece James one, I mean, look, we said before, that looked like a high ankle sprain, and even to a mid to high ankle sprain, this would be a fairly quick turnaround in terms of where he was last week to maybe potentially playing. I mean, it was only on Tuesday, I think, that Tuchel said out, look, it's far too painful at the moment. We don't know where it is. It's a minimum of 7 days recovery. Now, we're in that territory again where it's all this smoke and mirrors. And is he going to be there? Is he not? It remains to be seen, but that is what we're dealing with at the moment. And of course, we just sort of mentioned it as well. Luke Ayling for Leeds Marcelo Bielsa said that the defender is likely to need surgery on his knee. Now, what he referenced that as being a simple surgical procedure. Again, never give us too much information with regards to that. Understand that it was an MCL injury, medial collateral ligament problem that forced him off against Newcastle. Now, whether that's related to the MCL or not, we're not sure. We do know that inherently it's got a very good blood supply, that ligament. And we've seen even with Granit Xhaka, who suffered, potentially a grade 3 rupture, maybe of that, then he may not be required to go under the knife. So it suggests that there's something else going on. We're looking at it, but hopefully it's not a long-term problem.
And so with him as well, just quickly, transfer advice, would you get Luke Ayling out of your team now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if there's no such thing in my eyes as a simple surgery, there are a lot of factors to consider, and potentially even with this international break, this is not something that I would expect maybe players to turn around within maybe a week or two. It could stretch beyond that. We could be looking in the realms of maybe if we talk about a month, that would be, I think that's a bonus for Leeds. I think that's a great turnaround. But I do stress that we don't really know what's going on at this moment, so it could stretch well beyond that.
Well, there you go. That is the latest injury update from us here at Premier Injuries. Remember, do subscribe to the channel because we do these all the time just to give you the latest and most accurate. No rumour, no misinformation. We just give you the straight stuff in terms of injury news. So for now, I'm going to wish you the best of luck ahead of this game week 7 set of fixtures, and we will see you again very, very soon.